Absolutely, and I think there's one case I want to actually request all of your views, and that's Swiggy. See, Swiggy is advertising a lot right now on IPL, and I think Swiggy is an interesting case because that's where creativity plus data, because obviously people have analyzed who orders when and what is the kind of volumes of orders and so on and so forth, and technology being the the fundamental kind of conduit for delivery is coming together, and that's again to me it's like an interesting specimen of this new age branding, which is not pure promise, which is not pure delivery, it's not 30 minutes of free, neither is it pure promise, it's somewhere which is a convergence. And the second part there, which again I would request, and people like Pooja, you're working live on it at Ravinder, Kunjan, is the whole story of dialogue versus monologue. I think the advertising culture we grew up with initially was pretty much a far distance shaped culture. A piece of advertising which you responded to, reacted to, and you were expected to act in a slightly officious fashion. So just your views on Swiggy, and I would request Mahesh to kick this off. How the convergence of the three and dialogue versus monologue. Any other such thoughts that come to your head?
Thank you, Shivaji. Listening to all the co-panelists, I mean, I'm just being open to another world almost because I've been away from advertising for the last decade. But instead of responding to exactly what you asked for, do you think the especially the agencies? No, I'm slightly moving away from this. Uh, During the in the initial stages when uh, public relations came into stay, this is about almost 3 decades ago, the large PR agencies would basically, large ad agencies would basically offer their clients a composite this thing by having a division of PR within the large agency. And what they did not realize is there's a different mindset required for a PR work and for advertising work. Because advertising worked on money power while PR worked on relationship power. And so is similarly now with so much of new age advertising, uh, is the large agency, the traditional agency, trying to have divisions within them, or they're trying to coexist with the boutique agencies? How does it work? Because for me, it's a learning, so it's a question rather than anything else.
Who wants to answer that?
Open to house.
Ravi is probably in the best position as in being in it.
Okay. So all kinds of things are happening, Mahesh. We as an organization are trying to build what we call a village, where there is a traditional creative agency, which is us. Then there is a Havas Media, which is right in the same building. Then we have Gameloft, which is for the gaming. Then we have Universal Music, which is about the music. We have an event agency called Showbiz. We have a Think Design, which does UI UX for you guys. Also, I think HDFC is one of the biggest clients. And then we also have Langur, which does data and analytics based work. So we are trying to offer a bouquet of everything. So, and it is not like you, if you're on board, we'll do everything, whatever works for you. So we combine things and we offer that. And I think it's great for brands because I've seen this in the last 2 years, a lot of clients who've been working with a digital agency separately and a mainstream agency separately are kind of saying, we want to pull this back into you. I mean, this is as recent as 2 days ago, we won a business and they said, how about the digital mandate also coming to you? So there is that sort of integration coming back. I don't think the marriage of what happened about 20 years back when media agencies separated from the traditional creative agencies has done anything for the brands. It may have worked well for media guys who said, this is my bargain money and so I must get it separately. It might have worked for them, but it didn't definitely not work for brands. I mean, that's my opinion at least. So I think it serves well, like we were saying earlier, a brand needs to be consistent. So the more smaller and coherent a team is, the better it is for the brands. And so the world is constantly changing right now. I mean, there's an Accenture who's also kind of just saying, I'll do this and that, and I bought Droga. Interesting times, but I think you're there and you can make your choices. But I would, if I was a marketing guy, I would think trust one sort of a group and then do everything with them. Yeah.
I think that, especially for people like us who've actually been the small agency and been those guys who took share a business from a lot of the bigger guys, and then grew into what we did today, and then be part of be part of WPP, and you suddenly reach that phase and you're like, oh my God, am I that agile and am I that authentic as I used to be when I was small? And the one big lesson that we have learned, and we are true to that, is that we have to be completely secure as creative people. The moment we put the brand at the center, where that we as an agency will bring you, if it's not just, I will bring an OML, I will bring a Vice, I will bring all of them to the table to what works for my brand. And we're working in a way, from a space of security, and that makes the brand love you more. And that's why you have long-term relationships. I do think it's not just about bringing everything in-house, and with respect, I say that it's not about bringing everything in-house, but holding an important seat on the table with the CMO and with people like you, Mahesh, and showing you that I may not have the ability to do everything, but I truly understand your brand, but I will bring the best people to the table. And the people who say that to you are the people I think you should trust.
Yeah.
Actually, yeah, if I may add, I totally agree with that, because we are, I mean, very small, right? So we have about 10 people or 15 people. So we built an ecosystem, right? And that's exactly the model we are following and hope to follow for a long time, because we've been resisting that whole scaling up and getting into quarterly reports and that kind of stuff. So, but yeah, so I think that's great. And I'm sure Gunjan, Pooja and Ravi, you're going to hear from me very soon.
Thanks,
I
Rajiv.
do think, that money with this, and we've learned this over the last few years as we reach some sort of scale, the big fear was, are we giving away a part of our revenue? And, initially, that's what we were thinking. Oh my God, if I give this to OML, then I'm giving a part of the revenue. But
Right.
what happened is that the client looked at us and said, these guys are not going to just sell me their product.
Yeah.
So I want them.
Yeah.
I will give them that big retainer because I trust these folk to get the right solution to the table. So in fact, the money doubled. And that was such
Expanded, yeah.
a great revelation for us, because today OML is one of our biggest partners, and so is Vice, and so is, every other, and I'm sure as will Rajiv be in the future. So that's totally helping. It's great for the bottom line.
If I can give the HDFC example, if you see HDFC, all these companies, HDFC Bank, Life, HDFC Mutual Fund, Ergo, we started them as separate companies. If you see other models in India, the other financial services group, they are with divisions within the same thing. And you can see the success of HDFC and the others on a comparative basis. And the reason we always felt from the beginning that each of these areas are very specialized areas. Though these are financial services, they are still very specialized. An insurance, a banker, a housing loan product. And that's why each of these companies are masters and leaders in their own sphere. And the reason I ask that question is, these days, the youngsters, especially the talented individuals, they no longer want to be part of a big company. They want to live their own dreams. They come with a background that they would want to take risks. They are more of entrepreneur type. And then to work with big corporates, they need to live through their hierarchy as well. So sometimes, that's the reason I said, is it better to use specialized agencies or boutiques for certain kind of, that was the reason for that question.
No, and I think just to add one thing from my personal experience. So I'm as I call myself, a non-state actor now again in the strategy business, right? Which is historically aligned to the creative product. I mean, you would expect strategy to be part of your creative agency, digital agency. From my experience, I found two quick things. One is that there is increasingly an appetite for specialized service providers, and something which Pooja also mentioned in terms of, from the perspective of wanting to get the best of every individual domain. Secondly, when we talk of new age branding, we have to talk also of new age branding structures in the client organization, from my experience today, client organizations have invested in the people and the skill to integrate those functions in-house. Integrate as in as a operational integration, as opposed to outsource the integration function also to an agency. So I think that level of those two developments, I think, are significant. And I think while one model is the Uber integrated model, the other model is exactly the bang opposite, where you have super specialists coming in, and the integration is done at the client level.
Yeah. So just to cap that, I think you have all kind of choices, and you as a brand are at a certain stage. So choice is yours. There's all things available, and as in that sense, you as a brand have to be making smarter choices, choices that work for you. So
Sure. Thank you.
Fantastic. Yeah, Rajiv, please.
Yeah, just I think you spoke about the structural change, right?
Yes, yes.
I think that's all, especially in established sort of companies. Very often, the earlier generation always came from a very left-brained kind of approach, right? So, for example, when we were young, if you were not good at maths, you were a duffer, absolute duffer, right? So, but today's younger generation is actually they're coming in from a very right-brained, emotional, passionate kind of approach. So that's where I think the sort of clash is happening, and companies should recognize that it's okay to wear jeans, or it's okay to suddenly say "woo" at work, right, or something. So it's just that slightly different kind of vibe. I think so structural change is also important inside too.
Very interesting. Just one more second, I'll take here. One of my clients recently asked me that I want you to depute a person in our office who will be, I want to give him the definition or a designation called creative champion. He will be our guy, and he will be sitting outside, out of our office, and he will just look at the creative quality of the product. So that is the point.
Yeah.
And what Shivaji said, clients are reinventing themselves as well to understand and grapple with this new.
So maybe have an incubation room where only 22-year-olds hired and kept in. And they're not exposed to anybody else, but told to think about the company's problems.
Correct, yeah.
We actually have 15% of our organization, the way we're structured, 15% of our company has to always be below the age of like 22. And that team, because I have a 19-year-old mentor, by the way, so that I can constantly stay up to speed. And that helps. And I think it's been it's really worked wonders for us as we've scaled and as we've grown up as people and are no longer the youngest people in the room, so that's really